when. Hello, so what I'm doing here, we're taking set number 1527 that I just received from Ben Bonham's shop. What he does typically when I receive them, he has already had it profiled here, which you've seen down there, and they're already glued together. These are two. The first thing I do, I usually get a patch or a pile, about 6 or 7 of these. First thing I'll do, open it up. I'll put an S here. Because we have to differentiate which side is show, which side is on the inside. We call the show side what the customer sees and what other people see as you're playing your ukulele.
And how do you know which to mark as the show side?
The tape. We only tape and draw typically on the X side, what I call the X side, which will be the inside of the instrument.
So when you get them from Ben, it's got tape?
It has tape on it from Ben.
Okay.
As you'll see, there's a top or a back. I don't know which one that is. This is also taped. That's also taped. You sandwich it open. You can see I already put the S's on that one. And already put the S's on this one. Now this particular one is going to be a tenor classic, which I can tell by the TC. So what I'm going to do, I usually start with the top and the back. I'll take it over to my sander. It's going to be noisy, so I'll turn my little fan on over here, Bubby Gordon. Okay, we always start with the, I'm going to call it the X side. We'll start there. We'll get a flat surface there, and then I'll flip it over and try to take as minimal off of the show side as possible. So we'll start with the X side here. Good. It does help if you turn the sander on. Now what I'm going to look for here is any pockets that may be left, and this looks really good on this side. So now I'm ready to flip over and do the show side. Like I said, I don't know when I'm going to get phone calls or distracted, so I know that is the inside of the machine. Now we're going to do the show side. Constantly rotating it side to side, and I'll flip it around. Still see I have some glue marks here and stuff I still have to deal with. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty good. That does look good. So I got all the glue off. There's no divots. I remarked this show. Now we're going to get to the actual thickness.
At this point, you were saying, and Ben said this as well, that we want to take as little off the show side as possible to maintain the book match.
I did like 2 passes on that.
And at this point, the only thing that's going to happen to that show side from here on out is when it comes back to you after the rosette is in, it's going to get polished, you call it, but take those sanding scratches out. That's
exactly. So you'll see the same set come back to me, and we'll do that. Right now we're going to take this down to the thickness that we desire. We're pretty close. We're about 10 thousandths off there. So we're going to take it down to right there somewhere. We'll see as we go. So that's what we got.
So what's your thickness right now about?
What would you call that?
02, right?
Yeah, a little bit over a 1/10 of an inch, right?
Barely over a 1/10 of an inch. And where are you going to take it to?
I'm going to take it down to 0.9.
90 thousandths.
90. Okay, I'm not even going to move this yet. And I will keep checking it, probably every pass from here. So you see I took about 4 off there already.
I'm just going to zoom in on that.
Yeah, go ahead. So you can see I took about, well, 3 or 4 off without even moving the handle. So it's a matter of getting to know your tools here. Very little bit. Rolling in. Like I say, I'll keep rolling it around. That feels pretty close, but I could probably need another pass. See, we're about really close there. I'm going to go ahead and not even turn the handle and just put it through. Typically on the sander too, and out in the edges, that part gets cut off, so I don't get too concerned about out there. It's in here where I really want to be accurate. And I didn't even raise it up a little bit. That's probably right there.
Right at 90.
That's pretty much close enough for our tolerances. And it'll vary through that because it's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty damn close.
So what you've seen Kerry do is get a lot more accuracy out of a piece of equipment than it was designed for. That little crank on top, I'm going to zoom in here, that says turn it a quarter turn for a 64th of an inch, which is 15 thousandths. And most people would think of that as, not being much, right?
Not
and
much.
You're sitting there turning it way less than a quarter
So what
turn.
you're seeing here, that was less than the thickness of a paper when we were getting it down to the normal tablet paper. So I'm not going to do the other top. I'm going to move immediately to the sides.
You do those the exact same way.
I'll do this the exact same way you saw this one. The only thing that's different, we'll move to the sides now. I've already marked them with the S, so I know which side. We can take these down to 0.085.
And that's going to be final on the sides.
That'll be final. And also, one thing I didn't mention, you may have noticed I was running the material through it at an angle, like this. So it takes off more material, it seems to stay more even.
Well, it's just a good woodworking practice. If you think of a sander, which is really at a micro level gouging the wood and making like little channels in it, and by turning it 45 degrees, it's more efficient for the sander. It just takes
much more efficient. Plus, you don't get the grooves in it as bad either.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start on this. These were really thick when they came in, so to save time, I did pre-thickness them a little bit, but not all the way. In fact, they're close enough. Normally, I would start at an angle on these, but since they're close, I'm going through straight. That way if I get a phone call. Alright, so I got about 10 more to go. 10 clicks I call it. This is the show side, we run it through straight. You'll notice I keep rotating it all the time. Okay, once again, we're on the show side, so I take off as little as possible. Just make sure I get all the, and I did, looks good. Let me see where I'm at. Getting there already, so I got about 4 or 5 clicks. So I'll turn about right in there. There we are. Well, you can see that. That's right where you want it. We can move this around a little bit, but you can see that's pretty much right where Sharp likes it.
So
That is how we do our
So, and I just want to say one thing before we shut off this video about that little tool you've been using. I'm zooming in on it. From Stuart McDonald. I remember buying the first one of those. I think we now own 4 of them. But man, it was a hard purchase because it's over $100.
Oh,
it's
is?
A dial indicator with a very precision, the black arm. But it allows you to get on the inside of the wood at the top and the back and measure accurately. And it's one of those things that, when it comes to measurement equipment and tools, you just don't want to go cheap.
I agree. Yeah.
If you can't measure accurately, what are you left with?
Yeah. Well, I also like to mention, you may notice our tape process. Tape always stays on the inside of the instrument, so that's a very handy thing.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm going to turn off the thing, and
That's
thank
it
you
for
very
this
much.
one. Okay. Thanks, Gary.
Yep.